Do you think you were intransigent when it comes to the school siting stuff, the high school?
I'm not sure what you mean by intransigent, I'm sorry.
There was a lot of back and forth between Cahill's office and your
Yeah.
office about,
I'd love to address that question, and I think John brought up 4 or so issues. I talked a little bit about the original siting of the high school and how I really did my homework. I put together, I thought, a well-thought-out booklet for me at the time. I mean, it was, all by myself, going to the archives, talking to different experts, going through documents, and I went to everybody personally to try to convince them. I did the same thing with the citing of the high school project. In fact, I made phone call after phone call after phone call to a number of different individuals, and I met with the treasurer, at an office nearby in Quincy, and begged him to reconsider, and I did everything I thought I could, and brought in as many different people as I thought I could to try to resolve that issue. But at the end of the day, there was a decision to be made, and I looked right opposite that, where the high school was being proposed by the treasurer, on Southern Artery, and I looked at the police station there, and I thought, what am I going to do here? I mean, it cannot be built there. It just, with all due respect to at the time, and I can understand why the treasurer initially believed that could be built there, and why he was somewhat insistent on having it built there. There were votes that were dated back to 1997. The laws were going to be scrutinized to make sure that everything was done properly, and I understood all of that, and tried to discuss those things away from the public limelight in ways that could get it resolved. But we were at a critical juncture of that school, of the construction of that school. I mean, Shazzy, it was coming down to, listen, it's either gonna, be built on the upland, or it's not gonna be built. I remember saying to Jessica, right in the midst of it, Jessica, it's gonna be built in the upland. She said, well, how can you be so certain of that? I said, because I know we've been through this. The engineers and the architects, it cannot be built on Southern Artery in a way that anybody in their right mind would build it. So there's only there to build it. So if it's going to be built, something's going to break here, and it's going to be built up there. Not because I was insisting on I was right. I mean, ultimately, I believe that I was right on that issue. It had to be built. I would have liked to utilize the existing high school, but those votes that were done in '97 said a new high school, and that was defined as not utilizing the existing one. So, okay, we'll compromise on that issue. We're still going to get a great school, and we did compromise, but someone had to stand up. I don't know what would have happened, quite honestly. We tried and tried. Now,
did it cost more? Ultimately, did that position wind up costing me as a resident of the city more?
yeah, no, it didn't. In fact, what it did is provided you with a high school that you're going to be proud of as a resident of the city of Quincy, in a location that is where it should be, rather than 2 options: no high school, a high school somewhere else that would have taken longer to build, whether it was Broad Meadows or somewhere else, I don't know, or the original site for the high school in the border of Braintree, in a spot where if you could have picked the worst spot in the entire city and every place was wide open, that would have been the very last spot in the world to build it. So, no, I would say this. No, It won't cost, it's, the price of the high school increased. The question was, do you want the high school or don't you? And we're receiving 72 million plus a $15 million low-interest loan. We're gonna do it, ironically, if the system had not changed, we probably wouldn't have been able to afford it within the confines of Proposition 2.5, but we're well-positioned to afford this high school within, the guidelines of Proposition 2.5. In fact, and many people don't understand it, but we were taxing right up to the levy limit when I took office. We have an $8.6 million cushion now that we don't even tax. That is the highest in the city's history. And we have $17 million in reserves with a plan that we presented to the city council that shows every single year going out what our indebtedness is going to be and how we're going to be paying for that. So,
to go back to Jack's question about management style as a campaign issue, and I think it's fair to say it is a campaign issue, because it's what I hear people talk about as well, whether raised by your opponent or anyone
Right.
else that's out there.
okay.
Do you believe that you have appointed and empowered strong department heads? Because one of the things that I hear back is that the city department heads can't make a move, can't sign a bill, can't basically do their jobs without approval from you in advance.
No, I disagree with that entirely. I think that's just a complete fallacy. We have some great people working for the city of Quincy, and to the extent that they're doing their job and they're doing it well, thank you. I don't have to worry about it. I mean, I can point to people, Barry Welsh undertaking the Quincy on the Go initiative, spearheading that with assistance from Cam Nugent from my office, runs his recreation department, expands the programs that he offers, barely hears a peep out of me. I mean, I hope he would tell you that, because he really does. He's Monica Cunningham, who is just a godsend in terms of her abilities. Mike Ryan, working like an absolute dog, getting things done on a daily basis. Laurie Allen as my complete and utter faith. She protects the city. She makes sure, she's the person who really makes sure all the procurement laws are being complied with. Some people don't really get along with her because she's such a nitpicker on making sure things are done properly and legally and no corners are cut, and she does a great job at it. Marion Fantuccio, I still can't get, nor could any of my predecessors get the new growth figure out of her. I'm no better than any of my predecessors in that regard. She just holds that card tight to the vest. And as hard as I might try, the process of certifying the tax rate and valuing the properties and things like that are in good hands with her. And she has another individual that is turning into a mini Marion Fantuccio that is going to be probably the same way. In the treasurer's office, we've struggled a little bit, I would say. I've not, by any means, gotten involved to the extent of running that department. I'm saying the performance in that department, I think, was lax. Jay Duca, great building inspector. I mean, this person is top-notch. One of the best things, no, I shouldn't say one of the best things. Great appointment. Somebody who has a disposition that can't be shaken, very calm, is looking to help people, particularly homeowners and others that through processes that are very difficult and could be costly.